Hello students, welcome back. In this class we are starting with a new chapter. That is a chapter 10, Microbes in Human Welfare. So this is one of the important and interesting chapter. So before starting with the chapter, let us see the introduction for this chapter. You know that all chapters in biology are related to life and there is a great diversity exists among living organisms. So due to their great diversity, we need a system of classification. I think you studied in your first PUC in the chapter biological classification how the classification is very essential and why classification is needed. Because without a proper system of classification, it is very difficult to identify the organism. That's why, because of their great diversity among living organisms, we need a system of classification. As we are talking about the system of classification, let us recall the five kingdom classification proposed by R.H. Whitaker. So you are familiar with the R.H. Whitaker system. The five kingdoms which are proposed by R.H. Whitaker are Kingdom Monera, Kingdom Protista, Kingdom Mycota, Kingdom Plantae and Kingdom Animalia. So these are the five kingdoms which are proposed by R.H. Whitaker, and this kingdom Monera, which mainly includes all unicellular or multicellular microscopic prokaryotic organisms. And we will say that Monera, which includes most primitive group of microscopic prokaryotes. And the Protista includes the primitive eukaryotes. Mycota includes both uni and multicellular heterotrophic and achlorophyllous plants. And Kingdom Plantae includes all higher plants and Animalia includes all higher animals. Among these five kingdoms of classification, which is the kingdom which includes most primitive group of organisms, it is Kingdom Monera. So this kingdom Monera, which mainly includes the primitive microscopic prokaryotes. You know, prokaryotes are the organisms which do not contain a well-defined nucleus or true nucleus. So this kingdom Monera includes the primitive prokaryotes which are microscopic. So here, microscopic. Why they are called as microscopic? Because they are not visible to naked eyes, hence they are called as microscopic. And do you think that the microscopic forms only seen in the kingdom Monera? No, the microscopic forms can be seen in all these five kingdoms of classification. So such microscopic forms are seen in all these five kingdoms, and these microscopic forms can be called as microbes, or we can also call them as microorganisms. The microscopic forms are called as microbes or microorganisms. Then what exactly these microorganisms? These are the small organisms which cannot be seen through naked eyes and they are only visible under microscope because they have size which is less than 0.1 millimeter. So as they have size less than 0.1 millimeter, they are not visible to naked eyes and only visible under the microscope. And the branch of biology which deals with the study of microorganisms is called microbiology. The branch of biology which deals with the study of microorganisms is called microbiology. Then when we look at the diversity among these microorganisms, yes, there is a great diversity in their size, shape, structure. Such a great diversity even exists among these microorganisms. And location, where these microorganisms are usually present. The microorganisms usually they are present everywhere. They are present in soil, water, air, everywhere we can find the presence of microorganisms, and these microorganisms are even present inside and outside of our body as well as other plants and animals. And another important thing we can know about these microorganisms, their location is that they are even present in the snow. So they are present in the snow. So we can say that the microorganisms can able to survive in conditions where no other living forms can exist. In certain places, the other living organisms may not exist, but even in such places also we can find the presence of microorganisms. So the places like snow, geysers. Geysers are nothing but thermal vents where the temperature is as high as about 100 degrees Celsius. The temperature is about 100 degrees Celsius. Even in such a habitat, the microorganisms can able to survive, and they are even present in deep inside the soil and extreme saline conditions and highly acidic environment. So in all these places, we can find the presence of microorganisms. That's why I told you they are present in the places where no other life forms can exist. And these microorganisms usually belongs to the bacteria, fungi, protozoans, viruses, viroids and prions. So all these forms you have studied in the chapter biological classification. I am just mentioning the microorganisms. They usually belongs to either bacteria, fungi, protozoans, viruses, viroids and prions. Among these group of organisms, certain microorganisms can be cultured inside the laboratory by providing the nutrient medium. But I already mentioned the microorganisms cannot be visible to naked eyes. Then how they can be grown in the laboratory? When we grow certain group of microorganisms, especially certain bacteria and fungi, that can be cultured under laboratory by providing the nutrient medium. Yeah, when we provide nutrient media, the colonies can be visible. The bacteria or fungi colonies can be visible to naked eyes, but the microorganisms are only visible under the microscope. Yeah, as I mentioned, not all the microorganisms, only certain microorganisms are only cultured under the laboratory. Then, so when we are talking about the microbes, whenever we say the term microbes, you will definitely think that the microorganisms are usually harmful or they are non-beneficial. So why do you think that the microbes are harmful or non-beneficial? Because you know that most of the microorganisms usually causes diseases. Yes, of course, most of the diseases are caused by these microorganisms. I am mentioning certain microorganisms. They are the causative agents of many infectious diseases. And they cause different diseases in case of human beings, for example typhoid, malaria, pneumonia, etc. All these diseases are usually caused by microorganisms, and these microorganisms not only causing diseases in humans, they also causes diseases in plants as well as animals. That's why you will think that the microorganisms are always harmful or not beneficial. But my next question is whether these microorganisms are useful or beneficial. Do you think that the microorganisms are useful or beneficial? Yes, of course, the microorganisms are also useful and beneficial. So how, in the sense that we will be studying in this chapter, the microorganisms will play an important role towards the human welfare. See, the chapter name is only microbes in human welfare. So towards the mankind or towards the human welfare, certain microorganisms will be contributing. So in this chapter, we are mainly going to study the contribution of these microorganisms towards the human welfare. Yes, absolutely. In our daily life, whatever the products we use, they may be obtained from the microbes, or some other conditions we can able to know in this chapter. So it is very, very important and very, very interesting. So it is mainly focused on the role of microbes or important contribution of microbes towards the human welfare. So the microorganisms will be helping us. We will be knowing how the microorganisms will be helping us in our everyday life. So where do these microorganisms will be helpful? The microorganisms play an important role in household products. Household products. So household products in the sense, certain household edible products like bread, cheese, dosa, idli, all these products can be prepared with the help of microbes. You maybe never think that the dosa, idli preparation will be done at your home by your mother, but during that time the preparation of dosa, idli will be done by the microbes that you may not knowing that I will explain here. And the microorganisms play an important role in Industrial products. Industrial products. So which are the industrial products? They may be antibiotics. You heard the term antibiotics, but how the antibiotics will be obtained from these microorganisms that we will be studying here, and preparation of certain alcoholic drinks like wine, beer, etc. All those will be discussed here. And next, in the sewage treatment, the role of microbes in sewage treatment. So the sewage water is usually treated. During that treatment, microorganisms are very essential. So during that sewage treatment, microorganisms play an important role that we will be discussing. And next, for the production of biogas. So microorganisms play an important role in biogas production. You may be heard about the gobar gas. Gobar gas is nothing but biogas. So during the production of biogas, the microorganisms are very essential. And next, as biocontrolling agents. Biocontrol agents. So biocontrol agents in the sense insecticides and pesticides, but not chemical pesticides and chemical insecticides. Here biocontrol agents are nothing but biopesticides and bioinsecticides that we will be discussing here. And lastly, the role of microbes as biofertilizers. You may be knowing that the chemical fertilizers are usually used in the field of agriculture, but in this chapter we will be knowing the role of microbes as fertilizers.